Welcome back to the Unify Us podcast for the National Foundation of Patriotism. Today, we are celebrating Constitution Day, one of our favorite days of the year, and we often track everything that our viewers and guests do, and we like to know what our audience is thinking and how you like to receive your patriotism. Overwhelmingly, we found that over the last almost 30 years, you like your patriotism online. And so we're excited about that because it makes it fun and easy for us. And it enables us to engage with more people in a format like this as well. But we're really excited that you want your patriotism and your education online. And we did notice that right now trending on our website is education. So we invited a fantastic educator to join us today. And I'm so excited to introduce Mallory Fanning to the National Foundation of Patriotism. How you doing, Mallory?
Hi, thank you so much for the welcome.
Ah.
All right, I guess I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have been in education for 20 plus years now. I also worked with NASA and I was a government contractor for many years. And I have just recently returned back into education, and how perfect that I will be helping a school conduct their Constitution Day celebration, which led us to here, and how I could better educate your followers and on Constitution Day and what it is and how we celebrate it within the school system.
This is so exciting, Mallory. You just hit every note that we are passionate about. And so we're thrilled that you're willing to join us today. I would like you to talk to us a little bit about, over the years, I will say this, over the years, it's always surprised me that people have a different views about our Constitution and their patriotic fervor and that sort of thing, and differing ideas. Sometimes we live in a vacuum a bit, especially when my whole day is spent behind a computer screen instead of in front of people like it used to be. And so, but I'd like to ask you to share a little bit about your passion for Constitution Day.
Honestly, it's been reignited here recently when I was asked to help with this celebration. I do not remember celebrating this in school, so it made me curious. Do public schools celebrate this? The school that I'm helping is a private school, so that led me to do some research on my own, which I did. If I can refer to my notes a little bit, I saw that it's an American federal observance that recognizes the adoption of the United States Constitution and those who have become citizens. So basically, it says that, well, I'm going to talk about the Constitutional Convention. So September 17th, 1787, at the end of the Constitutional Convention, it was initially intended to revise the League of States and the first system of the federal government. And this was under the Articles of Confederation. The convention debated and ratified the Constitution of the United States, making the convention one of the most significant events in American history. So one, I just kind of reignited that. I did not know that. I didn't know that it was something that happened at the end of this convention, where they did debate and came as together as one. So when I was looking into not remembering celebrating this in school, and I was in the public school system, I saw that each educational institution that receives federal funds for the fiscal year is required to hold an educational program about the U.S. Constitution. So, and they are required to host that for their students. So that was interesting to me. I did not know that. And so that might have been why we didn't celebrate it in the public school system. I'm not sure. But it fascinates me that there are still schools who do it. And I have found that a lot of private institutions do celebrate it. So that was very interesting to me. And it's refreshing that there are school systems that still do it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that makes us very happy too. We've received a lot of requests from educators, not only in America, but amazingly, even other parts of the world, expatriates, looking for ways that they can engage their students in their case, world history. And of course, we know that our American Constitution is not only our rule of law, but it's a blueprint for human survival. if we abide by the articles of our Constitution and hold to the heart of the Constitution, which is couched in Judeo-Christian values, we know that these are blueprints for human survival. And so we feel so excited to have the privilege to handle this information, and we feel very responsible to handle it responsibly. And so whenever we can have an educator with us at a time that we're celebrating, we do not propose to be experts in any way of the Constitution. We are the National Foundation of Patriotism. We're not National Foundation of Educators or experts. We try to avail ourselves of the best information and the most useful and interesting. But we're really grateful to have you here with us, Mallory. And I'm so excited to hear about that, because I had heard that public schools do recognize, the Constitution. We are housed in the South, so it could be that, just the Bible Belt, is more in tune than the rest of the country. I had not gotten that message. So that's very interesting to me. I do know that our friends in New York didn't even, I have educators that contact me now, interestingly, more now than they did 10 years ago, for information or ideas and things like that on the Constitution. So we see, with the changing views of the world, we always see the best, and I think it's important to look for the best. I think the Constitution requires us to come up higher, think more broadly, present more information, and also adhere to the core principles of the founding documents of this country. And so it's always really exciting to be asked, how do we do this, or how can we celebrate that, or what can we do in our classroom, particularly with little children. It's always, I think it's just more fun. My favorite is middle school. They're not big and they're not little. They're usually angry. They don't want to pay attention.
No comment.
Rubber meets the road. I love it. When several years ago, I would be invited by Junior Achievement to go into the public schools and teach. And I would always ask for, give me the toughest kids. Give me the ones that don't want us here. Give me the ones that, really, really are just kind of, they don't want anything to do with it. And it's tough, but gosh, I love those kids. I just do. And it's always easy to get all the smart kids who like to read and like to debate. But you really get to see the heart of these kids when they don't want to be at school. They don't want to be there. They don't care if you're there. And when you feel you've made a connection, oh man, that's like, I think the best we can hope for in America. And so a lot of fun going on there for sure. So anyway, let's dive into our topic. So Mallory, help us to discuss what Constitution Day is and why it's important that we celebrate it.
Okay, so I've already touched on this a little bit, but it's our federal observance of the adoption of the United States Constitution and those who have become U.S. citizens. And it's important to, like you touched on, bringing it into the school systems. That's our core. That's our younger generation who we're passing on and making sure they understand the importance of our foundation. So I'm very happy to know that there is a system in place that requires schools to hold a commemoration or a celebration of this day. I think that's so important. But also to touch on that, the Department of Education, I think we have a link to pull up about that. They, since it's a required celebration with the schools, they provide resources on how you can celebrate that with your school and how you can develop a program that goes through and celebrates that day. And so there's links on there that you can click on. And if you don't have any ideas or you don't quite know the best way for your school to celebrate that, there's resources there. And I think that's great, especially if you're going to require schools to do something. it's amazing that they also have links and resources to help you to be able to do that and do it successfully and do it in a way that's going to reach the heart of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to celebrate.
Thank
So
you.
one thing that I was thinking about is it kind of has some different videos on there, and then it talks about the preamble to the Constitution. So I will be helping a school celebrate this day, and the kids will be reciting the preamble to the U.S. Constitution, which I think is absolutely incredible. So there's one way that you can do it. Something that I was thinking about, which would be a very interesting idea, is you know how they have mock trials? I
Yeah.
thought, how cool would it be to have a mock convention? And you could have students act out the different delegates who were there on that day and create a convention center kind of scene, because I really think a lot of people, especially students, are visual learners. I know I am. So how cool would that be to bring that back to life and make it really real for the students? So that's just my personal kind of idea for it. But definitely, if you need resources or some different educational ideas, the U.S. Department of Education provides links for that.
I'm really
And
happy to see that because I was not aware of that either. And apparently there are enough educators that are not, because they're reaching out to us for ideas as well. And we want you to keep doing that. But it is nice to know that there's a federal resource. And as we shared a minute ago, our world is changing so rapidly, and we see a lot of great changes coming.
I
Look at
just
that.
saw the scene come up for the convention and where they're coming together for the Constitution. And that's what I'm talking about, recreating that scene like a mock trial. How cool would that be?
It's so exciting. Many years ago, when we had a museum in downtown Atlanta, we had a giant board where kids can come, anybody could come and sign the Declaration of Independence. And it was
See,
just
even
so,
that,
it
yes.
was so awesome. It's so simple, but so awesome. And
Well, just to make it come to life for this younger generation and have them see, to put a pen in their hand and let them see it before them and feel like they might be taking a part in something, or making it come alive to them, is so important. I feel like that's how people truly get educated, is when you're informed, but it becomes something applicable to you. It
yes,
becomes real to you, and then you understand the significance and the importance of it. So
Mallory, you and I are both women of faith.
yes.
We're leaders. Um, we're educators, and we have a heart for this country, and particularly for our kids. And I always take every opportunity I can to speak to educators about their particular perspective. And I'm throwing this at you cold, so my apologies in advance, but I know that you'll answer it. I know that you can, because we've had some conversations, and this is right in your wheelhouse. We see our kids disconnecting in so many ways. We see them guided in ways that we would rather them not. And when I say our kids, I mean American kids. I mean just kids in general, frankly, kids all over the world. Kids. We know that video games can be great, but you also know they can be detrimental. We know that,
Yes.
and you and I both have had teenagers. We don't even know what they're thinking half the time, and they don't want to tell us the rest of the time. We at the National Foundation of Patriotism have it in our heart to always help young people feel a part of something bigger than themselves. We feel I feel particularly myself as a mother, and I know you share this, how sad it is to know how many of our kids are depressed and sad and lonely. And the internet is the worst place for them to try to find their place in the world. We're happy to be on the internet because we feel and we strive to give that option. You can go one way, but you can go another way. In our minds here, we believe that we try to provide the most interesting and engaging opportunities. But as an educator, as a mom, as a woman of faith, as a leader, help us understand what can we do that would give us more impact on reaching the heart of these kids. Everybody talks about fringe kids. Well, right now, I think many of our kids feel these feelings of disconnection. As an educator in the classroom, what are you seeing? What are you seeing right now? What grabs them more than anything?
Intentionality, time, because all of those things, putting a tablet in their hand, putting internet in their hand, when it's not for educational purposes, desensitizes that. And so when you can get them to put those things down and sit in front of them with intentionality, they absorb it. I have just experienced that myself. I even had a moment last night where I thought my son and my daughter came to the dinner table. They're not allowed to bring anything, a phone, a tablet, anything to the table. Once dinner was done, my son said, "Mom, can we play Uno?" And we sat there for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours after dinner, and we just all talked and we played Uno, and it was magical. And I just think moments like that are so impactful. Even if it's in the classroom, I realize that you might have to use a Chromebook or some sort of educational tool while you're in the classroom, but those moments where you put those devices down and you get in front of the kids and you reenact the constitutional convention, or you reenact a mock trial, or you take the time to be intentional with your time and everyone's focused in with your genuine time together. I feel like that is what makes the most impact, whether the children realize it or not, because I think whether we know it or not, we're in a generation of being consumed. And time is the most valuable. It truly is, because you can't get it back once it's gone. And it all, the most value you get out of it is how you spend it. So I feel like time is so important, and intentionality. Those are the two biggest words that stick out to me.
That's such an excellent insight, Mallory. Thank you so much for that. We don't get enough of that. And you and I are both single moms, so we also know how tired parents are. Single moms, single dads, even married moms and dads. We were exhausted when we were married, trying to keep up with 4 kids and all their activities and everything. We have a heart for that. And it's not always easy to even find the time. But I think there's a point at which we want to kind of wrap our arms around parents too. And so the National Foundation of Patriotism is developing a program called Patriotism Around the Dinner Table. It's a call back home. It's a call to come home. It's a call to, take the time. And it doesn't mean you have to be a big cook or any of that. You can pick up food on the way and sit at your own kitchen table in your own home.
And are you eating the food together?
Exactly.
That's what's important.
Yes. And to your point, slowing down, just slowing down. I remember, when my kids were coming up, my kids are spread out. So the first and the last, there's 15 years between the first baby and the last baby. So I had like teenagers all of my life until fairly recently, last 20 years, I finally got out of that. But I remember how challenging it was for them when they had a lot going on and they were stressed, and I was busy, and I would, at that time I was working and traveling and, just trying to hold it together as best I could. And there were times when it was good to just go outside, like just walk outside and just be in nature and just throw a ball. Like, my boys and I used to catch. And when I had things to talk to them about, sometimes, I'd throw the ball and ask a question, and they'd throw the ball and give me an answer. But there were times when it was really good to just slow everything down and just, as to your excellent point, intentionality. It doesn't have to take all your whole evening. If it takes an hour to just connect. I really love that. I wrote that down, intentionality and time. It's very, very good insight. And same with our recognizing the necessity to teach our kids about the founding documents, that this country was founded and hard won and hard fought. And America being an experiment that we're still working on. We're still creating it. Our founder, Nick Snyder, asks, "Are we finished building America?" No. They are every bit as important as that picture that James just put up for us of those founding fathers. This next generation, all of our generations really, but speaking to the kids, it's important that they know that they have a place in this world. Yeah, that's a good one. They have a place in this world. Can you talk to how you can translate that in in your classroom? How can you translate? And I'm really asking for myself, how can we translate better the need for those kids to know that we recognize they have a place here, and America's the best country in the world. It's the freest country in the world, and they can take part. They don't have to fight it. They can take part to make it better. How do you relate that in the classroom?
Well, I think exactly what the foundation is doing in this right here. It's education, and it's taking the time to continue that within the classroom. I just think that um, I just keep education, education, education. They have to know how Constitution Day, that's the foundation of our country. And so they have to know those things. They have to know um, where we got started, and they're not going to know that unless we take the time. And again, the fact that some of these programs are required is incredible to me, and I hope that that becomes something that we adopt as a country more, to require us to have these ceremonies and these commencements and things that honor the foundation of our country and educate the students. That has to be a continuation in the classroom, because the more that we can educate, and the more they can go forth and know, that shows them, oh, hey, okay, I do have a place. Oh, this was the foundation. I didn't know that. Now I know. Now I know I have something to stand on, and that I have a place. And so the more we speak about it, and the more that we continue to reiterate the importance of the education of that, and continue to make it happen with things like this, with educational podcasts, and different things we do within the classroom, I think that that's important.
I think it's so excellent, Mallory, and I would love to invite you back to have another conversation about just that. I think you and I can explore some really, really interesting ways for parents to be able to connect with intentionality and give time, but maybe they need a little extra. Maybe they need some more ideas. So thank you for that. Staying on our subject today, because I would so love to wander away from it, but at the same time, we want to make sure we've congealed it. So why we're talking, we know why we're talking about Constitution Day today, but I think we need to learn how to communicate in general, in people in general, America in general, the world in general. We need to learn how to communicate kinder. Again, using your marvelous word, I love the word intention. I was so thrilled when you brought that up. But speaking with more personal intention, personal integrity as well. And also helping the next generation, or even kids of any age, to feel like they have a part. And also maybe able to relate themselves. And I think this, for my kids, the hardest thing was helping them to be able to relate themselves to other people and the world, particularly with those founding fathers. The way many times, in my experience, educators teach it, it's so ancient and it's so back there. And at times it can seem almost irrelevant. And I know we have people, in my opinion, crazy people today who consider the founding of the Constitution outdated. It's totally ridiculous. We don't entertain that nonsense, but it happens. And it happens because they're not connected to it. And to your point, we need to find a way to help everybody reconnect. The Constitution Center fantastic place in Pennsylvania. They had at one time, and I was on there today because I haven't been on their site in a while. I was on there today and I was so upset because they took it down, but they had one of the coolest things on their site. And it was, I don't recall what they named it, which is why I went to look it up because I wanted to talk about it, but it doesn't matter what they called it. What you saw, it was on the kids section. What you saw when you pulled it up, it was the White House and a big lawn in front of it. And it was, the question was, which founding father are you like? And so it had a couple of questions, and you answered the question, and off the lawn popped up a founding father. It was awesome. And it was a wonderful and cute and fun way. We did it all the time. My employees would go and check it out, and they'd do it. And like today, I answered some questions, I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm like John Adams. I never even knew about John Adams. But there was something that happened when we would play that. We would use it in the museum when we had actual kids physically come into the place. And we had costumes and we would help them get dressed. Another great way to help them feel connected is to dress in period dress and learn things. We taught them everything from recipes to, stories and all kinds of things. It was great fun. But that one video that they had, some brilliant person came up with that, and it was so neat. And I would love to institute something like that. I'd like to reinvent that and maybe, be able to put it back up on our site, which would be really great. But being able, yeah, but being able to speak about history in a way that you feel like it relates to you today. What are we missing? I have asked educators, I've asked history teachers, and this is just, and I love them. They're wonderful, and they're intentioned and well-intentioned. And I know the ones, certainly every one of them that we spoke to, love their students. But I was so saddened. I always ask teachers, what made you choose this class? What made you choose to be a history teacher? And I got to tell you, Mallory, I had a hard time finding any that said they chose to be a history teacher. Well, I was going to be this, and this is what opened, so I took the history class. And for me, that, I'm like, what? That would have been the coolest thing, ever. But again, to our earlier point, not everybody has to think the same, so that's okay. God bless them for taking it, because we need it. Mm-hmm. What do educators need from us? What kind of support are they? I'm assuming they're not getting enough support. I only hear teachers talking about, how difficult their job is. And it is. It's a terribly difficult job and a tremendously underpaid job, if you ask me. One of the most important things in our world is raising these kids and instilling our American values in the next generation, not divisively, inclusively. How can we help educators who are getting the negative rhetoric and the confusing talking points? How could we just throw all that nonsense off the table, embrace them, and help them see how important it is, that the job they're doing is so vital?
Absolutely. Well, it all comes down to support. Of course, we have to come alongside them and encourage them. But just like you said, that program where you can go and say, which founding father am I the most like? To give children, students, an opportunity to see themselves in what they're being taught. Because a lot of, of course, we have recent things that are happening, but to go back into history and things that do seem ancient, to make it come alive to them and make it relate to them, we need more of that, because it has to become something that they can, if they're just in school and there's nothing like reaching them, then this whole cycle of um, disassociation or isolation is going to continue. So it has to start, there has to be more encouragement of education just like that, making things where they can go to it and be like, how do I relate to this? Or who am I the most like? Or how do I see myself in this, in the history of our country? So I feel like that is super important, just to encourage more educational ideas like that and to encourage that and support that along, and then just to come alongside of our teachers and reiterate the importance of what they're doing with more things like this podcast, more nationwide things where we are discussing the importance of the teachers and that we come alongside them and encourage them in what they do, and just speak to that. I think that's so important, but also how important it is to teach our younger generation and educate them on how to know what they believe and what they stand for, not just to go to school and hear things and not think for themselves, to know what their foundation is. And that doesn't mean there's a difference in opinion and being educated. When you're to be able to have a conversation and get facts on educational facts on something, and to hear and then to find a middle ground. And if you maybe don't agree with someone, you're educated on the subject, so you're able to have a conversation with someone to hear their opinion or their facts on the matter, and then you can discuss that, come to a middle ground, and then realize, hey, we want the same things, or maybe we don't want the same things, but we can at least agree this is a fact and this is a fact. And there's such an importance in being able to, that's a skill, that's something that everyone needs to know. I think we've gotten really far away from that as a country, and in education, I just think it's so important to emphasize the importance of educating yourself so that you're able to have a conversation with people, and it doesn't have to result in anger or walking away, or you can keep a level head about you because you understand and have taken time to think for yourself, and understand that we have a constitution that everybody is entitled to their opinion and free speech. That's why it's important. So, but if you don't know that, if you're not educated, then it all points back to a foundation and how important it is to understand that, because everything is connected. And once you understand one thing, it gives you more patience, intentionality to understand the bigger picture. So, and education can only lead to that, I
Yeah,
feel like.
that is so excellent. Mallory, thank you so much, so very much for that. I know that you have such a heart for this country and for educating our youth and for promoting patriotism in everything and every way that you do. Um, Help us close this out with your patriotism. Um, what makes you feel patriotic?
Okay, well, before I do that, I'm going to share a few little fun facts, and then I'm going to close out
The
with
next
that.
one.
So we were talking about how I didn't know, since I don't remember, which is unfortunate, but I don't remember celebrating. I know about the Constitution, I know the preamble to the Constitution, but so we must have, maybe we did celebrate it.
If
But
you got
I
it
did not
somewhere.
realize that Iowa school system was one of the first states to recognize Constitution Day, which is like, I bet you wouldn't have guessed that. So
You
that
taught
might be a
me
fun
that.
little question and answer question to start with, with a classroom.
Yeah, you
But they
taught me
recognized
that.
it in 1911. And then in 1917, the Sons of American Revolution formed a committee to promote Constitution Day. And in that committee were members like Calvin Coolidge, John D. Rockefeller, and General John Pershing. Those could be other members that you could play or dress up as, or try to see, okay, in the Sons of the American Revolution that formed to help celebrate the Constitution and reinstate the importance of it, which is another huge foundational movement. Who are you most like? Who do you relate to?
Yeah.
So, for me, patriotism is understanding the foundation and where you come from. And not only understanding that, but recognizing that it isn't an outdated thing. It is something that has kept us safe, that has continued on over the years to be something that has led us to where we're at now, which has been a huge change. It's hard to understand. We have made so much progress, but that's the importance of the Constitution, is to look back and understand we started something so great and we made so much progress. And now is the time where we need to look back on that foundation and understand what we have to lose, and how we can continue on to be great and keep these safety precautions in place, because they were so detrimental. So in order to understand the importance of something, you have to understand where you come from and the foundation. So the reason why I'm so passionate about it is, if we don't know, again, it all points back to education. If we don't know where we come from or why these things have held all these years, how are we supposed to continue it and keep it going and keep it in place? So I guess for me, it's to continue the patriotism that our country was founded on and the importance of it. So that's where my heart is. I feel education is important to understand what we were founded on, which is patriotism. So how can I keep that going? And I feel like I have a voice to keep that going. I feel like I have a heart for education to keep that going. So that is what I'm going to continue to do. I feel like God has opened a door, and He has somehow related my work with the government to my heart for education. And here we are. So just to continue to see what God is going to do there, and for love of God and country.
Well, Mallory, I know you and I are in great deep prayer over our joint journey together here, and we're very happy that you're here with us. We're looking forward to more podcasts with you. We're looking forward to presenting very soon some exciting things that you're working on and that we'd love to help you with. And in closing out this amazing session that I don't want to ever stop, I do have to do a shameless plug for my beautiful National Foundation of Patriotism. For anyone who would like to join us, our website is www.nfop.org, nfop.org, National Foundation of Patriotism.org. Obviously, we're always in a fundraising mode, so any charitable contribution you can give us is tax deductible. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we would really love for you to join us in any way you can. Check out the website. Sign up for our social media. We're just about everywhere. And there we go, right up on the screen. And check us out, see what we're about, and join us and help us make this even better. Help us reunify America. Our mission is to reunify this country, never to have cancel culture a part of our DNA. It's just not a part of the DNA of America. We are a nation of unified. We are the United States of America. So that does it for me. I'm checking out. Mallory, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be back.